Hey everyone, good evening. Darrell here from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center. First and foremost, happy Independence Day. Now through the next couple of days we are looking at some big changes, including some thunderstorms that are still showing up on radar, and then a big heating trend. So let's take a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. We're going to start off with what's happening, what has happened, then take a look at what you can expect as we go through the next couple of days. And we're going to kick things off with some of these weather cameras that I typically show. And right now across the high desert we still have some ominous clouds. Look at that bend camera. We can really see a lot of dark clouds there. There's a thunderstorm working its way through the Pine Mountain area, and Grizzly Mountain actually shows some really cool clouds as well. There have been some pockets where we've already had a little bit of clearing at times, but we're not done yet. That clearing is going to come tonight, and currently there is a flash flood watch in effect for the eastern half of our Tri-County area, basically where there are some burn scars. If thunderstorms work their way through those burn scars, they could produce some flash flooding. And I haven't seen too much in the way of warnings yet, but there is a watch in place. And all of those lightning strikes are from the last hour, where we still have some thunderstorm activity. One of those right around Pine Mountain, and that's where we were seeing in that camera, where it was just low visibility. So let's switch gears. Let's look at satellite and radar. This is just one of many I'm going to be showing you, but it does show that there is one thunderstorm right around Pine Mountain and another one working its way out of Crook County. Now, we're still not done with the shower and thunderstorm activity, but these cells will look like they're starting to fizzle out. Further to the south, there is some thunderstorm activity over Lake and a little bit over Klamath County, and some of that could be pushing north into Central Oregon during the next couple of hours. So it's something we're tracking, especially for folks who'd like to get out and watch some of those fireworks displays. It's one thing that we're really keeping an eye on for you. But let's talk about the light show that we've already had. In the last 24 hours, more than 1,800 lightning strikes in and around our Tri-County area, but that's not it. Let's zoom out. Let's look at the entire state. Now, I couldn't crop all of Idaho out of this, so some of these lightning strikes were over Idaho, but 13,000 plus lightning strikes in the last 24 hours, and a whole lot of rain to go with it, with a big drop in temperatures. Now, the SPC did have a marginal risk of severe weather that kind of inched over into our Tri-County area, but it's the southeastern corner of Central Oregon that has that marginal risk of severe weather. Now, some of these thunderstorms could still produce a little bit of light hail, and that thunderstorm activity is expected through the Cascades and the rest of the state. It's really the coastline from the I-5 corridor and to the further off to the west that's not in the area that has a potential of thunderstorm activity. However, when we look at satellite and radar, most of this activity has been over south central, and eastern Oregon, so east of the Cascades. Now, all of this is part of a low pressure that's still winding down. Now, in the wake of that, we're looking at a big change up, and the clearing actually starts tonight. So let's look at a different satellite imagery. This is infrared satellite, similar to what we were just looking at. We just had a blend of satellite and infrared and visible satellite with radar, but now we're just looking at infrared satellite, and it shows basically with infrared you're looking at the coldest temperature of the cloud top, which lets us know how tall those clouds are, and there's an enhancement thrown on here to really pick out those coldest temperatures. And where we have some thunderstorms rolling through, we do have some of those tall clouds. Now, there are some pockets that I've already started to see a little bit of clearing. We're not quite there yet, but some of us have been getting it. And when we look at the pressure gradients, it doesn't look like winds are too erratic. It looks like mostly just a little breezy around those thunderstorms, maybe gusty around those thunderstorms. Now let's look at the big picture, because there is a pair of high pressure systems. The big one is out over the Pacific Ocean. That one comes into play a little later. There's also a high pressure over the Four Corners region. During the next couple of days, the one over the Four Corners region back builds into the Pacific Northwest. It sets the stage for sunshine and a whole lot of heating. Then, through the weekend, the big high pressure out over the Pacific Ocean builds further into the Pacific Northwest as well. They kind of bridge right over the high desert, and what that means for us is even more intense sunshine is expected, but then it starts to flatten middle of next week. We're talking Tuesday, Wednesday, that high pressure. And as high pressure weakens, it opens the door for a little convection. So a lot of changes are expected in just this 7-day planner, but a whole lot of sunshine is on the way and a big heating trend is expected. So here, through the next couple of hours, our forecast model shows that by 7 p.m., we still have some showers left over the high desert. Those wrap up. then we start to get some clearing. The clearing really starts around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, right around and after sunset, but continues through the overnight. After that, we have sunshine Saturday, sunshine Sunday, and just a few clouds are expected. Meanwhile, we're not as dry as we have been the last couple of days. Not just the air humidity, the relative humidity, but also moisture in the ground is elevated because of the showers and thunderstorms we've had since the evening yesterday. Now, when it comes to temperatures, look at this. High temperatures in the last 24 hours, running the gamut between 88 and 66 degrees. Some of these are holdovers from yesterday. Current temperatures are mostly in the 60s and 70s. As thunderstorms are rolling through, they're cooling things down. Just about an hour ago, Paulina was sitting at 57, and this all represents a 7 to 20 degree drop in temperatures across the high desert in just 24 hours. That's not it. We're going to cool down a little bit more tonight with temperatures falling into the 40s. Even a few 30s are going to be possible. Then through the day tomorrow, temperatures warm pretty quickly. Under intense sunshine, we're topping out in the lower to mid 80s with some 70s on the map. Now, I mentioned the sunshine being intense. We're cranking up our UV intensity forecast. Once again today, it was at a 6 for some of us, a couple of us it was at a 7, but that still is a lot lower than it is going to be during the next couple of days. Now, when the UV intensity gets that high, very high, remember, sunglasses and your hat are your best friend. Protective clothing is going to be expected to be used by some of us, especially with sensitive skin. When in doubt, seek the shade, and always stay hydrated. Remember, if you're spending a lot of time outside, you'll want to use sunscreen and reapply that sunscreen every 2 hours because of this direct, intense sunshine. And it's not just Saturday that we're expecting that. Saturday, under tons of sunshine, few clouds are expected with a light breeze, and the warming trend only begins with temperatures near average for this time of the year. By Sunday, we're heating up through the mid to upper 80s, and some 90s are expected, and then by Monday through the 80s and into the 90s. This is when that dome, that huge heat dome, sets up over the Pacific Northwest, just bringing that hot air into the high desert. Then by Tuesday and Wednesday, our ridge of high pressure starts to flatten. That means weaken, and that means it's opening the door for some convection. So I have showers there for Tuesday and Wednesday with a cooling trend. But really, there's also going to be the potential for some thunderstorm activity, and we're going to talk about that here during this next couple of minute stretch when we look at our forecast models. So the main one that I use on air, the high resolution one, and then a little bit one that's not as high resolution, they're blended together, but it does show that showers are going to be wrapping up, followed by clearing overnight. And then by Saturday, tons of sunshine with a few light clouds. By Sunday, we keep that sunshine, and then by Monday, sunny. It's not until late in the day Monday that some clouds start to roll into the high desert, and then after that is when we really start to see some changes. So now we're switching gears, looking at the GFS. This is a long-range forecast model that takes up the whole globe, so it's not as high resolution. But I'm going to dive in here. We're going to take a little bit of a closer look. So through the next couple of days, we have that sunshine. By Tuesday, we keep that sunshine early. Then by the afternoon hour, some showers and maybe some thunderstorms starting to develop over the high desert. This is when we start to get our dip in temperatures for Wednesday, but there's still enough potential for convection that by Wednesday afternoon getting into the evening, more clouds are expected with the possibility of some showers. By Thursday and Friday, we are back to sunshine on the high desert. So between now and 11 p.m. Sunday, there are still some showers, some thunderstorms in the forecast. Most of that's going to be happening this evening before that clearing really sets up. And then looking at wind gusts right now, not too bad, about 15 to 20 miles per hour coming out of the northwest, and actual wind speeds are between 10 and 20 miles per hour. So the gusts aren't diverging too far from those actual wind speeds. But let's talk about this, because through the rest of this evening, winds are going to be breezy. Then by 9 p.m., winds start to calm down. By 10 p.m., when our fireworks display is supposed to start, we should be getting clearing by then, and winds should be coming down to a light breeze. Then through the day tomorrow, not too bad. A little breezy at times during the afternoon and evening. Remember, this is under that abundant sunshine. By Sunday, much the same, but wind speeds in the evening start to pick up a little bit more. And that means that fire weather concerns are picking up along with that. Now for tonight, 40s and a few 30s are expected. By Saturday, we're topping out in the lower to mid 80s with some 70s on the map. Remember, this is the beginning of our warming trend, keeping us near that average high of 85 in Redmond and 80 degrees in Bend. And then through the next several days, we just heat up real quickly. Then we're looking at 90s Monday and Tuesday. By Tuesday, there's a chance of afternoon thunderstorm activity. The last couple of forecast model runs have shown a chance on Wednesdays too, so I went ahead and left it in there. But we're still looking at the increase in clouds during the afternoon. This is when we get that dip in temperature. Still running near and a little above average for this time of the year, Wednesday, Thursday, but we start to heat up once again as we wrap up next week on Friday of next week, the 11th. And so, quick look at your weekend weather headlines for this Friday, Independence Day, 4th of July. Storms, then sunshine. A heat dome is building over the Pacific Northwest, so this weekend you'll want to make SPF your skin's BFF because of that intense sunshine that's expected. Going past the 7-day planner, temperatures are still running above average for this time of the year, and we're not looking at too much of a divergence from normal precipitation. So it's summer, it's dry, it's staying dry, but I tell you what, we really needed all of that rain that we got because our latest drought monitor shows that we have abnormally dry conditions across the high desert. Even some spots are in a moderate drought. And so in the last month, taking today out of the equation, we've been very dry, but we're starting to rebound that because of some thunderstorms that were rolling through the Cascades last night and even started to impact the high desert. So altogether, we do still have showers, we do still have some thunderstorms, and there is still a fire weather watch, or not a fire weather watch, that's to our south. There's a flash flood watch in effect for parts of the high desert. That's the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News, while the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.